The guys are ready for, for the battle in Blacksburg. It won't be a battle. They'll come ready to play. They're 1-0 in the ACC. We're 1-0 in the ACC. And should we wait for this camera guy to get set?
Oh, no, go ahead, Coach. Thank you.
But, again, a good football team, talented. Probably angry after their tough loss last week to a good Notre Dame team. So we'll have hands full on the road again. So, questions?
I know you said you're expecting to see Burmeister. He said Burmeister's good to go. But do you still prepare for seeing someone else?
Oh, there's no question. I mean, you always do. We prepared for really 3 quarterbacks this week, and you assume you got a Wildcat guy and the guy that was on the scout team last week. I could still see them wanting to do that, getting this. They got to prepare for the future, and with the other Wildcat quarterback being out, they like to get him in there, and so they like quarterback runs. So we prepared for all the quarterback runs, regardless of who it is, a quarterback. It could be a tailback. Who knows what it'll be, but. It doesn't matter who it is. It matters, structurally. They put you in a bind when they're, blocking with the tailback that usually is carrying the ball and the quarterback's back watching it. It becomes a different ball game. They love that out of the run game, and they love it against us as well.
And I've heard Burmeister described as a gamer. What does that mean to you when you're defending somebody like that? And what have you seen as far as his game?
Well, I mean, the first thing, Jeff, I think about as a gamer is, if it's game time, he's going to feel good, okay? So he's a guy that loves to play in games, and I would assume, and he's a tough guy. I mean, everybody likes to play in games, and, at a quarterback, that's what you'd like to have as a guy that's a gamer. And so, the other thing I think of a gamer is maybe he doesn't practice as well as he plays in games, is when you think about that, like, hey, when the game starts, I'll be good. So we know he's a tough football player. He came back and played and finished that Notre Dame game like a trooper, and he will be ready to go. They got doctors and trainers that take care of their players like we do. I don't know if it's like UPMC, but so they'll get him ready, and they'll get everybody else ready, and he makes plays and he's fast. I mean, he's legitimate fast. Everybody I've talked to talks about his speed.
And I know weeks off are good for teams, obviously for health and everything, but from your experience, have you noticed, do teams get off to slow starts? I mean, is it take a little while to get guys back into games after
you know what?
Week off?
It's hard to say. I don't know what my record is on open weeks, but
4-2.
4-2.
Jerry, you want to know?
Jerry, 4-2, huh? We've had more. Last week we had two open weeks.
We didn't have one last year, right?
I thought we had 2 open weeks somewhere.
You had 2 in 19.
I have 7-2. So you 3
Oh.
4-2 or 7-2.
We can't have 7-2 and 4-2. Jerry, I mean, is it 4-2 or is it 7-2?
7-2.
I thought there was some COVID weeks last year.
I don't know.
I'm not counting
There were 2
COVID. I'm not counting
bye
that.
It's a week off.
That's right. I was looking at the traditional.
We got to do our homework. I mean, that's the details I'm talking about, Jerry.
I'll check on it.
If our guys have details like that, we got issues. I can't have 2 different numbers, but regardless, it just comes down to how you prepare. We got to get our guys ready. It does not matter. It's we can look at what the Steelers do after an open week. Do they start slow? Do they go 3 and out? I mean, it's all. If our kids are worried about that, that's not the focus for us. The focus is we're going to go out and play like we did the last outing, and try to get all their minds right into that. And it's that'd be the negative part. Like, oh guys, let's make sure we don't start slow because we had a week off. I don't want to ever plant that seed. I hope they're off of Twitter and don't even listen to this press conference because it's just more bad information that doesn't matter. We should be fresher, we should be healthier, and be excited to go play. Doesn't matter when you play.
On that note, how important is a fast start? You guys know what it's like to have to come from behind in a hostile environment earlier this year, starting the week. I started at Tennessee. How important will it be down there? It's
real important, John. I mean, it always is important to start fast and get up early. First of all, it shuts down the crowd a little bit. It slows that down, and not that we've had crowd problems, but it's nice to hush them and silence the crowd a little bit. But we want to start fast and get out to a quick start. We want to do that every week, and it's just as important on the road or at home.
What have you seen, I guess maybe more of an offensive coach's question, but Dax Hollifield for them, their middle linebacker, he's going to miss the first half, but what kind of a player is he? And
He's a really good football player. He's got a C on his jersey there. He's a captain. I think the best thing he does is lead his team. He's an emotional player. He's tough. He's physical, and I would probably say, by the amount of communication you see him do signal-wise, that he's their guy that makes that defense tick a little bit inside. At least gets them all lined up. If they have formation checks, if they have backfield checks, if they've got any checks, I'm guessing he does a lot for both those outside linebackers and their front four to tell them what to do. Just like our Mike linebacker's got, the Mike linebacker is the key to the defense. And the backup Dean has not had a lot of reps in there, and they may move an outside backer in there, but again, it's something that they haven't. Dax has taken a lot of the reps in there if you look throughout the game, so that'll be a change for them for at least the first half.
And Burmeister's been sacked 11 or 12 times, I think 5 or 6 in the West Virginia game. Did they have more success rushing the defensive line or blitzing?
A little bit of both. And again, we don't watch a ton of that game. We watched all the big plays in that game and some of the different stuff that they did in that game formationally. But because they're 3 down, it doesn't really, it doesn't relate to what we do, and at least until 3rd down comes around. So, but they got a little bit of both in that game. I mean, a little bit of 3-man. I mean, I think they got 3-man. They covered them up and sacked them, and then they bring some zone pressures.
You got 2 or 3 running backs you like to use, and maybe 6 linebackers, and maybe 3 or 4 corners.
Maybe.
What does that say about the state of the program and how you recruited the last couple of years?
Yeah, we just went through depth chart in here, and and I'm amazed how we kind of say, well, he's going to take the first 2 series, and then he's got the 3rd. I like to get a 2-to-1 or 3-to-1, ratio. I mean, I think we've done a pretty good job recruiting. You're never as good as you want to be. And then we've done a good job coaching and development, but we haven't done anything yet, Jerry. So it's a lot of maybes in there, and there's guys that deserve an opportunity to get those reps in practice. Some of them don't deserve it. Some of them want it, but you got to practice and make that happen. So there's some guys there, and there's some guys that aren't as good as the guys out there starting.
Are Virginia and Virginia Tech 2 teams that the personnel, as well as anybody, because you recruit so much in that area?
Yeah, I mean, we recruit in that area, but again, they don't have as many Virginia players on this, on the team that we recruited. I mean, Taiwan Garbutt, number 45, one of their ends, I think he starts to the field, is a guy we recruited out of Virginia. But when Beatty's here, we got more guys out of Virginia than we really had prior to that. So it's not like we got a lot of young Virginia guys, but we know the roster just from watching it every year. We played Virginia Tech last year, didn't get a chance to play Virginia, but it's like when you play the ACC, we got a 5-game breakdown on them. So not only do you know who their players are, and you watch those 5 games. I mean, you're watching an accumulation of those 5 games, and you kind of know what they do in those games. So I think that's something that's important. More important, the structurally of what they like to do against Pitt, because it doesn't matter what they do against Notre Dame. Their defense is different structure. Everybody's got different. West Virginia's got different structure defense. So we're looking at the 5 games. What do they like to do? What do they like to do 3 games against Whipple? Or game 3 against Whipple.
Bye week is always an advantage from just a prep standpoint. At least you'd think it would be. For having a guy like Kenny, how nice is it, or I guess how much does he look at film even more during a bye week? And do you worry that almost he's overstudying? Yeah,
sometimes you can overanalyze, and sometimes you can overpractice. Sometimes, the thing with an open week that you don't want to happen is you are so far ahead that they get bored with the game plan by Thursday. They're like, oh yeah, here we go, and they start to again, get bored with it. It's the same thing you deal with in the bowl practice when you've got 3 weeks or 4 weeks to prepare, of getting bored with the game plan. And kind of we know it, they don't play as fast. So there's got to be some urgency to learn the game plan in a week. I think, you like that. But like I said, we've only had 5 practices, so it's not too much where you're overanalyzing. And I'm sure Kenny's got other things to do besides just watch video all day.
I think one of the stats the Pitt Football account tweeted out was 15 guys scored touchdowns. Do you feel like you have more weapons this year than you have in the past?
Yeah, I mean, Kenny definitely does. I mean, there was a Jordan Addison show a year ago, and now you got Tayseer Mack and Lucas Kroll and Jared Wayne, with Addison. And then you got, a little bit of a run game that started off pretty good, I think. We finished with the run game a year ago, but I like where our run game is at this point, but you got to keep getting better and, again, take what they give you.
In the last 2 weeks, your team has gotten some national buzz since you beat Georgia Tech, and I was wondering if you felt that buzz sort of transfer into this building here. maybe at practice and cafeteria and hallways. The guys seem, more, I don't know what the word is, but
I sure hope not. They'll get their butts kicked, I can tell you that. So I sure hope not. But, we talk about it all the time. And, something interesting in our radio show last night before I got there, Larry was talking to Carter Warren. They got there early. I wasn't late, though. And Carter Warren was telling Larry Richard that a lot of our guys have deleted their Twitter account for the season, which I've kind of said it's a good idea to delete it. And, you talk about Pitt Football tweets. I haven't looked at Twitter for a long time, but, I just don't post stuff during the season. I don't go look at it. It doesn't matter. And somebody does, but I don't. Okay, put it that way. My man Carlo takes care of me, helps me out. But, so I hope not, because it doesn't matter. I mean, when you talk about, they can feel good all they want. No one's got you in the national rankings. So that's, to me, when you got to start worrying. I hope they're still hungry, and I think it's important.
I think you've been on Packer and Durham more often than Packer and Durham.
What's that? Me?
Weren't you on Packer and Durham each of the last 2 weeks?
I think I was only on there once all year. Again, I forget week to week, but I think I was only on there. I kind of busted them.
Somebody told me you were on a second time. I saw the first one.
I don't know. Oh, maybe the huddle. It would have been 2 times. Last Saturday I was on it for a minute. But.
Virginia Tech, 2 of the stats that stick out about their defense: third down defense and red zone defense. What's that tell you about what you're facing with that challenge going to be?
Again, we know they're tough. They're well coached, and they've got athletes on defense. So we've got to go out and play. And every week there's different strengths and weaknesses of teams. But when we get in the red zone, we know what our issues were a year ago. I think we've cleaned up some of those things, and we got to go out and execute. I trust our offense. I like how they're playing, and we just got to go out and execute. That's what it comes down to.
There were a few guys at Georgia Tech, Keyshawn being one of them, that went down. Tended to trainers kind of deal down in Atlanta. Does a bye week help them? Are those guys good? Keyshawn good?
Keyshawn's really good. Keyshawn's not getting hurt this year. Keyshawn, Georgia Tech, I'm trying to think of what he went down with.
Might have been cramps, I don't know.
Might have been cramps, I don't a lot of talk about cramps and tempo and injuries, and I don't agree with James Franklin on a whole bunch, but James, I got your back on when you're not playing a high fast tempo offense at a team that huddles, nobody goes down with cramp, and so that's a bunch of baloney.
What do you make of what went down at Oklahoma this week with a student reporter watching practice from a undisclosed building?
I saw Jerry up there in that building. but he was trying to figure out what my buy record was. At the same time, try to I haven't heard a whole bunch about that. I did hear that he shut practice down, I guess, because of the quarterback situation. I don't. Student reporter's just trying to get a story. I like.
I respect him for that, right?
I respect him for that. If you guys were sneaking up there in the parking lot, hey, all the power to you.
Giving us ideas.
Find a way or make one, right?
Well, that building was built after this field was put in here, and the Steelers are always concerned about Al Davis sitting up in there.
Oh yeah. I think that's why they got those little big, they put their tarp up. It doesn't look like it's up there today.
Hasn't been.
Hasn't been?
A few of us talked about splitting an apartment up there.
Those were expensive. Those things go down deep. That was an expensive project there.
5 or 6 of us to split one of those.
Yeah.
Some by Harbaugh and company, I think. No.
What other questions?
Are you looking for big things out of Desmond in the second half of the year because he was hurt?
I am, and again, Desmond's played good. I mean, again, everybody wants to look at the stats and all that. I mean, we're happy with where Desmond is. Is he making the flashy plays? Is he going to get 10 sacks like Rashad and Patrick? And everybody'd like to have him, but you either got to make them or have an opportunity to make them. And Des is fine. Des is playing good football, and we're not disappointed in Desmond at all. But I think he can continue to get better as the season goes on. But that tip ball interception was big time, and that was because of Desmond. That's a big play. You don't need a sack. I mean, he came through clean and did his job. The ball came out, or he gets a sack. But if they want to throw picks, I like picks too.
You talked about the crowd and the environment a little bit, and obviously you've been to a bunch of different places that have great environments. And I'm just curious, how good is Virginia Tech compared to some of these other ones, maybe even in the Big Ten when they play Anderson? And how much do they get into it? What is it like
it's a great atmosphere. I mean, Tennessee's a great atmosphere. Clemson's a great atmosphere. There's a lot of great atmospheres out there. Wisconsin's a great atmosphere. Michigan's a great atmosphere. Michigan State. So there's a ton of them out there. But once the game starts, it really doesn't matter. But there's fun atmospheres to play in for sure.
Tuesday, John and I were walking into practice, and he said, "That's Enter Sandman." And I didn't know the song that well, but he did.
You didn't notice it?
He's younger than me. I didn't notice it until I got closer. I'm just curious why you decided to play that during calisthenics.
We do all the time. Every game we play away, if they've got some music, we played Rocky Top the entire week. Our kids were kind of sick of it, but just, we got noise out there. I don't know if we played much noise when you were there. Maybe we should let them stay for a noisy period there. You can bring your earplugs. We'll let you stand behind the offense the next, so you can see what we deal with. And you guys have heard the Steelers with the loud noise. But we play the music because that's what you're going to hear during the game. It's just trying to give you the same atmosphere that you're going to have on game day. So they used to hear that song. Some guys get cranked up to it. Lucas Carl's like, "Coach, that's my favorite song." We played that in high school. I've never lost a game when I hear that song. So it's like, okay, good. So they know what they're getting into. So once they enter that arena and they hear that song, they're going to be like, okay, it's just like we practiced all week. Here it is. I think those are all the part of the mental part of it. If they come in there and go, "What is this? What's going on? What's this music?" I don't want it to be foreign to them. So we play their fight song. We play everybody's fight song.
So it can work for the home team. It can also work for the visitors, right?
Oh yeah. Our guys get cranked up too. There's no question. I like it.
Are you a Metallica fan?
Oh yeah, back in the day. So I enjoy that song.
Anything additional?
All right, guys. Who's going?